U.S. investor optimism is at a 7-year high. That's according to the latest Wells Fargo Gallup survey. I'm joined by Mary Mack, president of Wells Fargo Advisors. Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
So why exactly are investors so upbeat these days?
Well, if you think about it, they have confidence in the economy. They have confidence in the job market. The housing market seems to be inviting more first-time home buyers, and so the American dream in their mind seems to be alive and well.
Is it attainable? In other words, is that optimism misplaced at all, or are people on the right track toward reaching their financial goals?
Well, we see it in terms of planning, for instance, on the right track. And while the number of investors with a plan continues to increase, still only about half of those who have a plan have it written down. That's growing, but less than half, 38% of Americans actually have written their plan down.
How do you encourage people, I guess, to put that into action? It seems that people know it's something they should do. They just don't get around to it.
Well, that's exactly why people don't. It's either I've never thought about it or I just haven't made the time. I think it's scary for some people too. And so our financial advisors work with them, break it down, talk about goals and dreams and risks, what worries you, and then begin to take those personalized attributes and craft a plan. What's your time horizon? What do you want to achieve? What are you trying to accomplish? And break it down into something simpler for most Americans.
So the poll also had some interesting findings on what investors worry about. And at the top of the list was identity theft. Also cyber attacks, a close second. We actually recently did a story at the Street about how IRAs can be vulnerable to hackers. So this has got to be a big issue in terms of reassuring investors and making sure they're protected. How should the industry respond to some of these concerns?
So what we've done is think about how we put multiple safeguards in place so that we can detect different activity patterns, things that seem out of the ordinary. We train all of our professionals that are frontline working with clients, as well as in our back office, to look for those sort of early warning signs. And then we provide a lot of consumer education. So our financial advisors will deliver to a single client or to a group of clients some education around what you can do to protect your own identity.
Investors are always worried about stock market volatility. Your survey shows that. I kind of find it ironic because we aren't really seeing a lot of volatility, maybe 100-point swings one way or the other, but that's not a lot given the level. So how do you prepare investors for what I would say real volatility is when the market on a given day drops 550 points?
Well, we spend a lot of time getting our advisors focused on those plans with customers. And so if you have a plan, what's your long-term plan? What are we trying to achieve? It's not today's plan or tomorrow's plan, but over the long term. Do you have the kind of asset allocation diversification that protects you in those swings? And a lot of it is just confidence building. You know, when you have big swings in the market, keeping people focused on what are you really here to achieve. The market will move on a day-to-day basis, but what's your overall goal and objective?
Any concerns that investors are too optimistic, that perhaps they're not thinking about possible downsides?
I don't know that we've gotten to a level of exuberant optimism. We're certainly at a high, but there's still an amount of caution in the conversations that we have with clients. You see that a little bit in the daily volatility that you're talking about. I think that's evidenced in the fact that it's still in the top 3 worry list. So I don't know that we've gone over to the other side in terms of exuberant optimism.
Mary Mack, president of Wells Fargo Advisors. Nice to see you here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Rhonda Schaffler for The Street.